Welcome, everybody. My name is Lindsay. I am the owner of Women Who Explore. We're with one of our amazing ambassadors who's located in Montana tonight, Hallie, who is going to be walking us through her class and her tips and tricks. As I mentioned, this session is being recorded. It will be available online on our website. We have an educational little library that we're starting to put together for everybody. So you'll be able to find the recording afterwards online. As I mentioned, if you don't want to have your video on, you're welcome to have your video off. And if you have any questions, we're going to utilize the chat for that. And then we'll have like an open question and answer at the end. So you can ask along the way or wait until the end. So we always like to start by asking everybody to share in the chat where you're coming from. So if everybody wants to sort of start, I'm located in Phoenix, Arizona, and Hallie, I'll let you share here in a second. I just want to give one shout out quick to Salomon, who is sponsoring this class tonight. And for everybody who sticks around after the Q&A, we are going to be giving away a pair of shoes to some lucky lady here. So, all right, I'm gonna let Hallie take it off for the evening, and if anybody has questions, chat.
All right, can you guys all hear me okay? Fine, awesome. All right, I'm still trying to figure out the chat thing on the bottom. I'm gonna leave it alone because if I touch it, something might go wrong.
And I'll just kind of jump in, Hallie, when I get a question in the chat for you.
Okay,
cool.
Sounds good. So I'm trying to figure out, because I'm on the top screen, I think, and you're in the, I'll just leave it. I have no idea what I'm just going to leave it. But hi, everyone. I'm Hallie. I'm with Beyond The Backcountry LLC. I'm the owner, and I also am the main instructor for it. First off, I'd like to thank you guys for being here. This just makes my heart so happy that you guys are taking that step to be safe when you go outside, whether it's just a few miles or if you're going for an overnight backpacking trip. Over the years, I've just acquired a lot of cool stuff and just little tidbits here and there. And through my business, what I teach is backcountry prepping. I also teach avalanche classes and teach wilderness first aid. And I teach first aid and CPR, kind of a whole thing. But what I like to do is teach people that are kind of the demographic, don't have a lot of time, a lot of the money, because these classes cost a lot and it takes a lot to take. And so I try to offer people like this through Women Who Explore, something where you guys can take it for free and learn something. This is just amazing to me. And that's kind of what I do with my classes too, is I sponsor people to come to them and I give low cost, but it's the same kind of training as you would get at the major ones. But I try to get it out there because I just want people to get outdoors and enjoy it and be safe. So that's kind of what I do with my business. I ramble a lot, so I'll try to keep it on point. But Lindsay, do you have anything to say, or do you want me to just kind of go into it, or? Oh, I think you're on mute.
I was. You are all good to go. We've got ladies joining. I'll let them come as they do, and I will, like I said, jump in if we have some questions here and there.
Awesome. All right. So when I typically go out for a one day, I used to basically take nothing with me. It's just kind of how I roll sometimes, and I still do that. But for the most part, when you go out for a day, I always think, because I used to work with the search and rescue crew here in Butte, Montana, and working on that crew and working for Snoqualmie Pass, Washington. I don't know if you guys know Snoqualmie Pass or not. I worked up there as a wilderness ranger, and we had search and rescue up there all the time because of people being unprepared and just not really knowing what to take with them when they went for just a day or for a backpack and overnight trip. So I kind of came up with a list of things that I like to take with me, and they're really lightweight items. They're not anything like people think, oh my gosh, if you're going out for a day and you plan on staying out for the night, you need this massive backpack on. You really don't. You can take some lightweight things to begin with. and also I want to get out there. My backpack changes per season. And the reason why is the stuff that I like to do changes for like winter and then for summer. In the summer, I use an Osprey pack or I use a Black Diamond for climbing. And then in the wintertime, I actually use, it's like a Deuter pack. And the reason why I use this one is it's actually got its own little packet, like right up here, that you can put your like gear in for avalanche. Like it's got the shovel holder, it's got a probe holder. Because when you get out there, and I'll kind of go over this too, is you want stuff to be in the area that you know it's in and not be digging through everything if something does happen. So that's why I kind of use 2 different packs throughout the year, sometimes 3. It's a Deuter Freeride Pro. Everyone says it's a snowboard pack. It's not. It's kind of like a backcountry ski and snowboard. Just in the front, it has that whole section where you're supposed to put your avalanche gear, and that's why I use it. And then it's got a whole bunch of different little compartments on it. So that's what I kind of do is I switch out my packs. The next thing I like to use if I'm going out, and this is kind of the most important thing, and you guys probably all have this, but you're probably wondering what mine looks like, is why it's so old looking. Is I have the old version of the DeLorme. What was actually DeLorme, and Garmin didn't own it. And it still works perfect. There is not a problem with this thing. They say update it. It updates just fine. Don't need to do anything. Don't need to spend it. But I would really highly recommend taking one of these every time that you go out. And the reason why I like the DeLorme or the Garmin actually now is mainly because I'd had a spot, and I don't know if anyone on here has a spot device, but I had a spot, and actually I got lost on Rainier with a friend. And I didn't have any device at first. I was like, I don't need anything. She had a spot on her, and it was actually spotty. You go through the trees and people wouldn't hear, it would kind of just break in and out. No one knew where we were at. We got out of the situation. It, took us like 12 hours. We were fine. We just kind of lost our way and went a little different route. But no one knew where we were because the spot wasn't like telling people where we were. It would just kind of blip in and out through the trees. So like with the like inReach and stuff, it's really nice because it's like a different satellite system. And it's also, you can text people on it. So if you're not needing search and rescue, you can just text someone like, hey, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm just, we saw a cabin in the woods and we went and checked that out. So we're going to be back 2 hours later, 3 hours later. That's typical when I usually go out. You see cool things out there, but you want people to know where you're at. So definitely, I highly recommend you guys to invest in one of them. Monthly, if you guys aren't, you don't know what it is, monthly, it's right, $24.95, and you get 40 texts on it, which, I mean, I don't think I've ever used the 40 text. I hope you're not using it for texting, like, hey, what's going on for the day kind of thing, because it's not meant for that. So yeah, that's one thing I would highly recommend that I always take with me every time I go out. And you got Matt. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I totally recommend the inReach too. Definitely.
Yeah.
A great device to carry and super important, I think, to have if you can. And
yeah.
Monthly plan is like, well, maybe it is $24.95, but I don't even go out as much as I want to, but I always have it because it just makes me feel safer outside. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's been times where like I was climbing once and I was going to summit and I got a little text on it from my parents saying, oh, way to go, Hallie. And it's kind of just makes you feel good. Like if something does happen, people can also text you and kind of make you feel a little bit better. And the next thing I like to bring, and this looks really weird, is like I said, it's just years of the, doing this, is I have a climbing shoe bag that I use for a first aid kit. And the reason why I do this is because I take all those first aid kits that you can get and you can buy at like REI and stuff. And I just take these and I put all the different stuff in it that I would take out there that I know I'm going to use, because a lot of those first aid kits that you buy, they're pretty expensive and they have stuff in there that I have never touched and I'm never going to use. So I like to take all that stuff out and be like, okay, for what I'm doing, what would I really need? And like in mine, I've got like, because I tend to injure myself a lot. So I've got tons of bandage, like a lot of these. And I'm not kidding you. The Band-Aids that I absolutely love and swear by, and they stay on, are those Welly ones. I don't know if you guys are familiar with theirs. It's Welly. You can get them anywhere, and they are bomber proof. Like, they will stay on, and they're just really cool because they come in like all these little star and unicorn shapes. They're meant for kids, but they come in kind of the adult kind of shape, but they are amazing. Like, I'm seriously impressed with these guys. They actually work better than the Band-Aid brand, and they're about the same price. So I would recommend something like that. And then I have like ibuprofen in there. I just keep a bottle, keep refilling it if I need to. The reason why I keep this is sometimes I get aches and pains out there, but if something does happen to someone, you can also do that. So just stuff like that. And then I've got a bunch of cough drops. And the reason why I take cough drops is because sometimes in dry air, especially in the wintertime, it gets a little dry if you're talking or if you're walking or hiking. So I bring cough drops with me, like the fisherman's friends. I'm not talking too fast, am I? I'm doing okay.
I
Okay,
think you're doing
awesome.
good.
All right. And then I also take little packs of that, like the emergency vitamin C pack. I keep those in my first aid kit all the time, just in case I need something like that. There's been times where I go out and someone's like, oh, I'm not feeling too well. I'm like, oh no. And so I'm like taking vitamin C. So just things like that to think about. A big one that I keep in my first aid is Imodium AD. And the reason why is so many things can happen out there to you or the people you go with. Maybe you ate something wrong. So I would definitely recommend taking Imodium AD with you. Another thing, and I keep it in a little bit different pack, it's just a whole bunch of different stuff. I've got cold medicine in here. I've got more Halls. I've got nail clippers. I also have that new skin where you can just put it on and it just kind of creates a bandage. That stuff's amazing to take. And then I have eye drops in here. So I kind of like keep this all together in just one little thing, and it doesn't weigh too much. And this comes with me every single time I go out. And typically if I use something out of it, which is normally the Band-Aids, then I'll just go home and restock it. But that's kind of, I've never really used some of this stuff in here. The Imodium AD definitely have used. We don't need to go there. Another thing I like to take with me every time I go out is I have these little OR bags, and they're waterproof. And I'm gonna just like show you, it's really simple. Actually, what's in here is hand sanitizer and toilet paper and a little trowel. And I just keep it in these little OR bags because you can actually, if something does happen, these are amazing. They're waterproof and you can fill them with water. You can do stuff like put a whole bunch of food in them and you don't have to worry about them. If it rains and everything, you know that everything's kind of secure, because that's what I like to do in my backpack is I don't keep anything out. I keep everything in waterproof bags inside my backpack, because a lot of those times those covers that are on backpacks or like the Osprey ones, they just don't really work well. They're kind of like, I want to get in the bag. I don't want to have to take the cover off and then start digging around in there. This way the bag might get wet, but everything in there is going to be nice and dry. So I don't have to really worry about that bag cover being on there, which is kind of cool. And then I always take with me, usually, sometimes I don't, is this Soul Bivy. I would not use this. I have not really, I've taken this out a couple times, but I wouldn't use this unless you absolutely have to. If something happens, it's really lightweight. They have ones that break down really, really small, but this one's really nice. It's a little bit thicker one. I would absolutely take one of these when I go out. Doesn't put it, just put it in the bottom of your pack, forget about it, just leave it in there. Another thing, this seems like I'm going through a lot of stuff, but it actually packs down really nice in a like pack. And these I love taking with me. It's just surveyor's tape that I bring with me a lot of the time. And it's not for putting anything on the trees for finding your way, but it's actually for if something does happen, you can use this as a way for a signal. You can actually stick this on trees and it will flutter in the wind and people will actually be able to see that. What Soul bag is that? It is the Thermal Bivy is what this one is. It's kind of a little bit thicker one. But yeah, so
Can you
Oh,
explain
go
what
ahead.
a bivy is for some people? I mean,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So a bivy is basically, it's just a really small, like, it almost looks like a sleeping bag, but it's insulated and it's almost looks like, here, I'll actually take it out for you guys.
would it be
It looks like,
similar to like
mhm.
the heated blankets you get, but more of like a reusable one?
Yeah, it's like, these can be reusable, but you have to be very careful with them. And the reason why is because they're kind of thin. They're not made to be used very much unless you're in like a situation where you really need to use them. I had a friend that thought this can be able to be used for an overnight trip, just to go out, and it's shredded on her. And she was like, oh yeah, probably not that kind of bivy. So yeah, these are just for emergency use only, and they're not meant to be made for your overnight trip and stuff. They have different ones, nicer ones for those. But these will keep you insulated if you need to. You're not going to be comfortable, but you're going to get through the night if something happens, or if you have a friend and something happens, you can warm them up with this. And it's, like I said, super lightweight, and they don't honestly really cost too much. The stuff that I'm showing you guys tonight is stuff that doesn't really cost a lot. And
So I
then,
didn't get the like
uh
emergency blankets. Do you know the
good.
square
Say that
ones?
again.
Those emergency blankets, those are the same. Is it that would like is similar to that, right?
Oh yeah, are you talking like the little small ones?
Yeah, would that be like a similar thing? This just looks a
It
little bit
would.
more durable and nicer.
Yep, yeah, they have the only problem, because I teach at Montana Tech up here at the college. I actually teach the wilderness prep class, and we go out and make signals. And those really thin ones that kind of look like tinfoil,
Yeah.
if you guys have those, they're like kind of this big, they're really small. The only problem with those is they do shred really easy. We've actually taken them out to make signals, which they are amazing for signals, but if you catch them on a like anything like a branch or anything, it just boom, they'll shred in the wind, which is kind of defeats your purpose. So you have to be really careful with those. That's why I just use something a little bit thicker, but you can use those. You can keep those with you if you want to. Just be careful with them, and don't be taking them out of their package unless you really, really have to. So another thing, huh?
So they're a one and done.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. And then like I always take, of course, and some of these items I take 2 of each, but like a Petzl headlamp, I always take 2. And the reason why is sometimes I've been out with people and especially this time of year, and it gets really dark really quick. Another thing I take 2 is sometimes I've heard from someone I'm with, they're like, oh crud, I forgot my headlamp. And I'm like, oh, well, I have one, because they're like, well, I'll just use my phone. You don't want to be using your phone for a headlamp at night. So I always just keep, and if you need, or if you have a couple different backpacks, keep one in each one so you don't have to keep switching in and out, because I've unfortunately made the mistake of switching my bags in and out. And then I go out and I'm like, oh crap, everything's in the other bag. And then I'm like, smart move. So yeah, I just now take 2 of everything, like hats, this kind of stuff. I use alpaca a lot of the time now, just because it is better for my skin. I don't know why, but I can't do really too much wool. And then I actually take a couple of chem lights with me. They're super easy to like find. You can find them on Amazon, in different colors and everything. I usually get the really bright ones like yellows, reds, and they're like just like that big. I mean, they're kind of, not even 12, like maybe 8 inches, and they're super lightweight, super cheap. You can get a big bunch of them at Amazon. The reason why I take these is if something does happen and search and rescue needs to find you, these are going to be like the bomb. They will find you with these. These are super, super bright. And then you can actually take, and then on some of them, these actually have it. There's a little loop that you can put a string through and you can spin them to be able to create a signal. So the lights are called chem lights. They're like chemical, like chem, and then light is what these are called. And they're kind of like, those rave things you used to do when you went to raves, or if anyone ever went to parties and they had the glow sticks around your neck and stuff. It's kind of what these are on a very like bigger level. So yeah, so I would definitely recommend just 2 or 3 in your pack, leave them in there. They don't really, ever expire. I've had these for quite a while, took them out just to see how they were, and they're still working great after, gosh, I'd say 5 or 6 years, 7 years later, maybe even more. They're still working just fine. And these will last for I actually had a couple of these I was using for a photography shoot once just to kind of play around with them. And I'm not joking, they lasted almost 18 hours. I went back and they were still kind of, so that's how long these will last. So definitely put these in your pack.
How do you spell that again? C-H-E-M?
It is like CHEM and then LIGHT, like chem and then light. And they're just like, they're called like, they're tactical lights, and you can like get them at, yeah. And you can get them, Amazon will sell them. There's some other stores that you can find them on, but yeah, they're amazing. They really are. And then I also take a bunch, it's a webbing. I actually just cut a whole bunch of webbing and I take this with me because I can use it for a lot of different things. And I like bright colors because you're going to be able to see this. And this is actually, I bring this along with me because you can use this in a pinch. If somebody, I don't know if anyone like in the winter when they're traveling, and if someone gets caught in like a tree well, which is when if no one knows what those are, if you're around a tree, they kind of funnel in. And some people have actually lost their lives in tree wells. The reason why I take this, and I had no idea until I was working Forest Service and they gave me this, actually, should have given this back, but yeah, perks of the job maybe. So what you do is they told me, they're like, well, if someone gets caught in a tree well, you can actually put this down around them and then pull them out and help them to get out. So that's why I actually carry this now, is for like if my dog or something happens, I can actually use this for a lot of different stuff, pulling on stuff and using it to pull stuff out, or like if I need to use it for hanging stuff or shelter. So it's just a bunch of webbing. I'm not sure how many feet this is, but you can kind of gauge, and see like how much you need. A few feet would be good. Another lightweight little object that I keep in my pack. And then I'm not going to forget about the snap, huh?
Somebody asked about the webbing and if it rips and like what kind of, maybe like what grade it says what grade tape is that? So maybe like.
Oh boy. Let me see if I can pull out what.
No, that necessarily, but it's pretty flexible, right? Like it's.
Yeah, no, it's flexible. It's basically kind of like the stuff that if you go to like a ranch supply store, you can go and they've got a bunch of webbing on there. And it's not the really thick stuff. This is, oh gosh, I don't know the millimeter that this would be. Trying to think, like your straps on your backpack. That's how thick it is. It's kind of like that thickness. And then you just can go to your, local ranch supply store, Ace Hardware, and they should have a webbing roll and you can just pull some off and then they'll cut it for you. And then just, make sure you're burning the edges so it doesn't fray. But this stuff's really durable. Even like it hasn't ever really frayed and stuff. And thankfully, I haven't had to use it. So yeah, hopefully I never have to.
You've had to use it yet, but yeah.
Hopefully
I hope you never do have to use it.
Yeah, knock on wood somewhere.
Knock on that for you right now.
Exactly. And I'll go over the search and rescue stuff and everything, but one thing I do take in a Ziploc bag is a Write in the Rain notebook with a pencil, just because if something does happen, it's good to know like your location, write everything down, because if you contact search and rescue, if you have the ability to, they're going to want to know what's going on. And this is a good way to remember all that stuff. Just as like, like you can write down if someone's hurt, you can write down what is going on with them. If you guys have taken like a wilderness first aid class, something like that, and you can be like, okay, this is what's going on. Because search and rescue will ask that question. They'll be like, is anyone hurt? Who's hurt? Where's the location? Like, what's their age? That sort of stuff. So when they come in, they kind of have all that information. So that's why I like to keep this. I also keep it for data and waypoints. When I go out, sometimes I'll see something that I really like, or just a waypoint that I want to keep in. So I'll go in there and I'll just jot down something really cool, or just for waypoints. So I'm always carrying this. It's just a small little notebook with a pencil in there. And the Ziploc you can reuse. And then if I'm going to bring my dog stuff up really quick, just because I do go with my dogs a lot. I always bring, Ranger's actually here by me. She's sleeping, but I bring booties all the time when I go, just because, especially this time of year, their poor feet, anything can happen. But these are so sweet because they're little rubberized ones. And so it's for, like rocks, that sort of stuff, because Ranger's got tender little paws. And so I like to keep her feet. So I like to keep her feet nice and, protected from anything. And these stay on really nice. So I always take these with me for her. And then I use in the wintertime Musher's Secret. And the reason why I use this is because some dogs get that clumping of ice below in their pads, and it's really kind of painful if they like pull that off. So if you put this on the bottom of their pads and rub it in there, it's kind of like a little greasy. It will prevent that. A lot of mushers use it, hence the Musher's Secret. And then I always carry, and this is the one time I actually carry a full-on kit, is I carry a full medical kit for the dog. And it's got like a bunch of bandages, and it's got blood clotting stuff like solution in it as well, just because there's been times where I've gone out and Ranger actually like ripped a nail one time, and it bleeds a lot if anyone had their dog do that. So I always get this stuff that you can get in little bottles, and you can get it at a Petco, PetSmart. And it's just like, it actually like clots the blood. And so I would definitely bring that along with me. And then I bring like the horse tape. I actually bring that along to wrap feet if I need to, wrap anything on them. And then pretty much that's about it. And I just bring their little dog bowl for their water and everything. And I actually I put electrolytes in their water when I'm out. And the reason why is because they're exerting way more energy a lot of the time than I am when they're running. So they actually drink the same exact stuff that I'm drinking. So if I'm doing electrolytes, I put electrolytes in their water, and they're drinking the same thing, just because they need the same kind of stuff. And I just dilute it a little bit more than I would for myself. But those are the things I like to bring for my dog, just because I like having her. And Charlie's downstairs. Dude, did you have something?
Yeah. Well, I love that you brought up dog stuff. A lot of people are digging the dog stuff. I think we all have a little adventure buddies. Mine's sleeping here too. So, somebody mentioned that somebody asked about what kind of booties do you have?
Oh yeah. These are actually the Mutt brand, MUTT, and then LUKS is the brand of them. And this is the one thing that out of all the stuff that I have here tonight is like kind of the most expensive. Of course, it's for the dogs. Like everything else for me is like really cheap. And then I go to the dogs, I'm like, oh, I'm going to spend that much money on my dogs. But I love having them with me and protecting them. So yeah. And they just, you just got to measure the feet out. But they have the rubber on the bottom for rocks and stuff like that. And you can, for mud and stuff like, for year-round use. And I think they come out of Canada, I want to say.
That's cool. The padding on the bottom looks really nice.
Yeah. Yep. It's almost like an actual shoe for your dog. It's kind of cute.
So there's a couple other questions. What type of electrolytes do you use for your dog?
Oh, I actually use Scratch Labs. If it's SKARTCH. The reason why I use it is my stomach doesn't like certain electrolytes. I don't like the Noon ones. They're too sugary. There's way too much stuff in Scratch. Is all natural. It's natural sugars. It's natural ingredients. There's nothing, it's all organic, which I really enjoy. It's like, if you look at their ingredient level, it's maybe 3 or 4 things on it. So, and it's really nice for my system. Like I said, I don't really have, my system's kind of cranky. So it's kind of pick and choose what I can do. And then what I do with the Scratch is I'll put it like in an Nalgene for the dogs, but I just dilute it a lot more. I don't put the whole pack in. I just put like half the little pack in for them. And then for myself, I'll put the full pack in. But they seem to enjoy it, and it kind of helps them out a little bit if something, because they get really excited out there and run around a little too much. And so they need that extra oomph.
Awesome.
I have not gotten it approved. Yeah. I've gone to the vet and told them some stuff I've been using, and they're like, It's fine. It's fine. As long as you're not, you just got to read the ingredients and stuff, especially, and make sure it's like, nothing for your dog that, they can't have, like certain veggies and stuff like that and certain different fruits and everything. But once you figure that out, I think there's a few fruits and stuff that dogs can't have, like cherries. Dogs cannot have cherries. I know that for sure. And I think avocados and stuff like that. So yeah, I just got to be really careful. I just get the like orange one and just dilute it along, like really down for them. But yeah, there's like some cherry ones and stuff out there. I believe Scratch has that. I would not give my dog. And then depending on the time of, go ahead.
What dog first aid kit do you have? Somebody asked.
Oh, I actually have, I think it's by the same, it's the Adventure Medical Kit one.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah. And it just has like, it's called the Adventure Dog Series. And it's just got a bunch of different stuff in it for them. And then I keep packets of hand warmers in my bag year round. A lot of people are like, well, in the summertime, you don't need them, but higher country, definitely do. I actually have a friend, yes, grapes are, and yeah, chocolate, like, yeah, definitely don't ever do chocolate with your dog as much as they probably want it. But yeah, but like the little hotties, like these things are great to have with you because like I said, my friend that I hike with now, she used to have no problems with her hands. And even in the summer, she's got, they think she's getting Raynaud's syndrome now, which is unfortunate. But so I carry these for her now, and she's got some too, because she knows just in the summer something's going on. So I always keep stuff for her and for me. And like I said, these are very small to keep in your pack, but I keep them in there year round. And then I also take, this is just one of my little gadgets I love to take because if something does happen, it's actually good for search and rescue, but it's also good for weather. I just take a Kestrel with me. It's a little weather device, and these don't really cost too much. And it's like a called a Kestrel 2000. I'm kind of a nerd on weather, and that's just because I go out a lot. And so I'm always like checking the weather even when I'm out because stuff drops, especially here in Montana. Like 2 days ago, it was great. Now it's like almost a blizzard out there. So you just really have to be careful of what you're doing out there and checking the weather all the time. And sometimes you're like, oh, that doesn't feel that cold. And there's been times I've taken this out and it's like in the negative. So you just have to kind of keep conscious of that all the time. And then I'm going to get on to how are we doing with time? Good.
Yeah, you're
awesome.
doing good.
And then I do take my trusty map. Always take one of these with you of the area you're going in. A lot of people rely on their Garmin's a lot of the time. And I don't like relying on any kind of electronics when I go out. I just don't trust it. I've had so many issues with different things happening. My friends and I have gone out and I'll have my DeLorme on and I'll have the map, thankfully, because her Onyx, I don't know if anyone's got Onyx here. It's great. Onyx is fine, but the only problem is there's been a couple times where we've gone out and my map share on my DeLorme was telling us that we were somewhere else. Her Onyx actually told us we were in a different area and we had to like look at the map because for some reason her Onyx was telling us that we were supposed to go one way when we knew we should be going around the other way, and it just was goofed up. Something was weird in it. And I think it's because, I don't know if this is good or bad, but Onyx has been letting people enter data for trails and everything. And I've noticed a lot of sometimes just be very cautious with that because I looked at their site and some of the stuff that Onyx has been putting out for trails is just by users and some of it's not accurate. And that's what happened with this trail that we were on is someone had gone on it and they had it all mixed up. But they had put it into the system. So it was just like, so just be kind of cautious with that and always bring a map of the area and kind of know how to use this with your compass and everything, or take a navigation class. And they have them online. I think REI actually online has them, and there's a couple different places online you can do these. You really don't need a lot to do the map. You just have to learn the basics, and you can, like, if something does happen or if you're really turned around, you can kind of take your map out and go, oh, we just need to do this and that, and then piece it together. Like I said, don't leave home without this thing.
Well, I feel like even on all trails, I've had it where the map doesn't necessarily meet up with the trail when you're like pull up
Oh
the
my
road.
gosh, yeah. Yeah,
And,
there's been some bad incidents.
yeah, relying on
Um,
electronics can be dangerous.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I kind of really don't rely on stuff. But and then I take Portlet when I go out, maps to look for. I actually, okay, so it depends on your area. Um, I have, there's in like Montana, we have they're huge, but they're Forest Service maps. They're the really durable Forest Service map. But I actually like Karen Cardo. It's a company out of Missoula, and it's really cool. They kind of break down stuff into wilderness areas. They've got like, gosh, I think they have, yeah, it's like $10. They're pretty cheap for, I think here they're like 16 or something like that. You can also go online and you can like kind of, if you're looking at certain areas that you're going to go to a lot, you can actually go online, and there's a couple different companies out there, and you can kind of pinpoint your area, and then you can have them print one out for you and send it to you on waterproof paper. It's a little bit more expensive that way. So I don't usually do that. I usually just use the bigger maps, and then I kind of piece where I want to go. And then a lot of the time I'll be home. Do you carry a compass? Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't. Just I'm like, but I'll take the map, and I kind of, like I said, I'll piece stuff together. But my biggest thing is like the map. I love it. Like it's saved me a lot of times from getting turned around and having to like orient like myself to where I need to be. But yeah, compass. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And they're like, well, if you don't take a compass, what good is the map? But you can actually piece that together through looking at where you're at. And if you navigate your map just right, and then you can actually pinpoint where you're at on the mountain, if you can scale it down. And then I take, like I was saying, paracord. The brighter, the better. Just because if you drop it on the ground, it's hard to see the brown. They have the camo ones in black. So I always take something really bright. And then this is actually, you can use this for your shelters. If you ever like get stuck outside, if God forbid something does happen and you need to stay out overnight, you can use paracord to make a shelter. You can hang stuff with it. There's a lot of different stuff. You can actually use it for if you need to cinch like someone up, if something happened to them. You can like wrap it around something. You can make there's so much you can do with these things. And like, if you take like wilderness first aid classes, they'll actually show you how to use these with poles to create like a splint for people. So this is really good to have in your pack. And I just kind of, piece it together and roll it up and then throw it in my pack. And it usually just always stays there. It never really comes out unless I, need it. And there's been times where I just want to go out and I want to hang something from the tree. And so I'll just hang it. It's a good clothesline too. You can dry stuff on it. Another thing, like we're talking about for fire, making fire and stuff. And I always bring it's the like light my fire. I mean, you guys probably know the company for using the forks and stuff like that, but it's just a light my fire flint. And these are pretty easy to use, and they're really lightweight. I've never ever had a problem actually being able to use that. And then this right here is going to be key to your fire starting abilities. I've never had waterproof matches ever really work out for me. For some reason, I don't know what it is. They just don't work. But these little guys will work for you every single time. It's a cotton ball. And what you do is you put Vaseline on a cotton ball. You don't need a lot of Vaseline, just a little bit of Vaseline on a cotton ball, and just get a bunch of them, put them in a Ziploc bag, super, super lightweight, and it will instantly start a fire for you, and it will last a long time. So I would definitely recommend just, put a Ziploc bag and some cotton balls with, just like I said, doesn't need to be a lot of Vaseline. And then the only reason a lot of people say, well, you can use chapstick, if you really, really need to do a starter fire. I've never had that work, because a lot of the chapsticks, paracord bracelets, I actually had one. I think they're fine. You could probably definitely, use one of those. But yeah, like For fire starting, I would use this just because crayons, yep, crayons work well. Chapstick, I've never found to work because you need the old school chapstick, because a lot of the newer stuff is the organic stuff and it has some other stuff in it, and it will not, yep, lint works great. So yeah, you can put a whole bunch of different stuff in there, but yeah, I would suggest something that's just really lightweight, like the cotton balls lint is really nice. You can just roll it up. You can make all sorts of kind of stuff, but like chapstick and stuff, never got that to work out really well. And then I always just carry a knife with me just because it's really lightweight and I can do a lot of different stuff with it. And I just usually put it to the side. Sometimes will put it in that Ziploc bag with a notepad and pencil just because I'll know where it's at then. Like I said, you can use a multi-tool too. And I don't really ever bring a multi-tool with me. I just always have like a little trusty knife with me all the time, just because a lot of the stuff starts to get bulky and it starts to like it gets overwhelming. And yeah, duct tape. I actually like to put duct tape around my trekking poles. So instead of like putting it in my bag, because some people just put a little piece in their bag, I actually take my trekking pole and I wrap it around the trekking pole a bunch of times. And that way I can just keep pulling it off if I need it. And then I just come home and I put more duct tape on my trekking poles. So they've always got two pieces of really kind of, and I use the brighter duct tape on there. I usually use reds or orange, sometimes blue on the duct tape. And then this is, I don't know if you guys know what dromedaries are, but dromedaries are just, they fold up. And I'll show you like how they fold up. They fold up to like that size and they're super lightweight. The reason why I love taking these things, especially in the winter time, is you can fill them with water and you can also fill them in and this is for anyone that winter backpacks. These are your little hot water bottle and your sleeping bag. These things are really amazing. You just fill them with hot water and you kind of like use them as like those little water bags. And oh my gosh, these things will last forever. So if you guys backpack or get a little cold at night, even in summertime, one of these is great to take with you, or you can actually use your Nalgene. And I actually just take my Nalgene, I'll fill it with like boiling water, and then I'll stick it in the bottom of my sleeping bag. And oh yeah, that feels so nice. And it usually keeps a good few hours. And sometimes I'll like put it up and I'll put it like right next to my chest and it warms me up really good. So yeah, if you guys need to stay out, or if you're backpacking in the wintertime, or if it gets a little chilly at night in the summer, definitely you can use these things in a pinch. And like I said, the dromedaries are great to have with you because you can use them for so much and they're super, super lightweight. You can actually strap them to the outside of your backpack and just leave them on there. And then when you need them, you can just put water in them as much as you want, hot water, whatever you need to put in there. And then depending on the time of year, always take my avalanche transceiver and like know how to use these. And I'm always taking my probe, and I actually take a metal shovel with me almost all the time, even in the summer for digging stuff out. Surprisingly, especially in the wintertime, I take it with me just to dig out spots to eat, dig out spots if I'm going to like stay for a while and do something. So if you do like a lot of winter hiking, I would recommend getting a shovel, just because if something does happen, this thing is going to be key to helping someone out to get them off the ground and get them dug down a little bit. If it is, or a lot of snow on the ground, you can actually build a shelter with this. It's going to be a lot more energy saving, rather than if you're just out there and you're like breaking sticks down to make like a log cabin. If you need to stay out overnight, you can actually just use this, and super lightweight. The only thing I think like with shovels though, is make sure you get one that is for you, for your body. There's a lot of different ones out there. Just find something that is like comfortable for you, like with length and stuff, just because the energy you like spend digging down, if you really need to build that shelter, is going to take a lot out of you. So just find something like that. And then most importantly, I'm going to talk about, yep.
People are really impressed with this shovel right now. They are curious if it folds down, if you put it in one pack.
Yeah, no, it's, I love it. Like, so Yeah, so like this time of year, just from where I go, sometimes I won't need it because it's a little bit level ground. But if I'm out, and that's why I take that Deuter pack with me when I go out for winter, because it actually has a spot specifically for a shovel, and it breaks down into 2 different pieces. So you can just put part of the shovel into that pack and just leave it there all the time. But the reason why, like I said, I use this is just because I've used it for so many different things, like for the snow, for actually just making some shelters, for digging out in the summertime for stuff. Yeah, it's one of those items I just pretty much always carry with me. And then, yeah, like I said, this is just the avalanche transceiver. This is with the shovel, the most important thing besides the probe to have if you're going to go out into any kind of backcountry environment that's going to have like a slope on it. If you guys are, I don't know if any of you are getting into backcountry skiing or, oh my gosh, I could go on and on about the avalanche stuff because that's what I teach the most, but definitely have this thing on you. What brand is that of the avalanche transceiver? This is a BCA, backcountry like avalanche. So it's like GCA, it's just a tracker. Sorry if it's a little blurry. And then, yeah, the like probe, everything is all BCA. It's like, I love the company just because they're super simple. You don't need to know a lot of stuff with it. It's just, it breaks down. And yeah, I wish I could talk about avalanche stuff. I could go on for hours. But, and then the most important thing for me in my pack, and then I'll kind of go over the search and rescue stuff too, because we still have time, because I want to kind of go over with you guys what happens if you guys have to stay out overnight and kind of that scenario, because that is hugely important for me to like get across to you guys of kind of the scenario of what happens from you going out to if you need to unfortunately call search and rescue in, or if something does happen in your group. But before that, I've got to talk about my snacks, because snacks are important to me. That is like, I've been called the grandmother of the hiking group because I'm the one with the lemon drops in the purse. I have got everything you could like think of under the sun. Oh yes, snacks are life, let me tell you. So I have another OR waterproof bag with snacks in it that I always take. Like I'm really big into whole foods when I go out. I don't like, so this is surprising. The little side note here, I didn't know this, but if any of you take Cliff bars or Power bars or Luna bars, I didn't know this, but Scratch Labs has a book out on nutrition, and I was reading it, and because my stomach had bonk, for some reason, like Cliff bars never worked. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, I don't understand what's going on. So for one bar, like say one Cliff bar, you have to drink, no joke, almost one full Nalgene for it to break down in your system to be able to be utilized. And I was like shocked, because usually you drink something, you know, like you'll eat something, and then usually most of us just sip of water and then boom, we're gone again. But if you think about it, that food is just sitting there in your stomach. It's not being broke down because you don't have anything with it. So that's why like my stomach would just not feel right. I had, you know, you guys are going to a little too much information here, but let's just say tree frogs on the trail would come out, and I just couldn't like function properly. And so that's why I went with whole foods. I never take Cliff bars and stuff like that unless that's like a dire need. Oh my gosh, I need something. So I'll keep a couple of those around, especially the scratch ones, because they're a little bit better on my system. But just remember, if you do take those, you need to hydrate a lot to be able to have those utilized in your system. Yes, espresso beans are amazing. But in my bag, I just have, oh my gosh, so I just ate one of these and I have the wrapper left because I forgot to take it out. But it's the honey stinger bar. It's the nut and seed bar. Oh my gosh, these things are amazing. If anyone's ever had those old-fashioned nut rolls, that's what these taste like, just on a healthier level. Holy crap, amazing. And then these are, they're kind of like, they're just 3 grams of sugar. They're called Smart Sweets. These things you can find in your grocery store, and they're just a little bit less sugar, but I kind of sometimes like to have something a little bit more sweet. And then, like I said, and this is my trade secret. Like I've told people this and they're like, what? And then they catch on and they've never gone back. So hear me out on this. I have pickles or olives in my backpack all the time. Noka, yeah, the superfood sweet are really good, but yeah, I actually have gotten a lot of people onto bringing pickles and olives with them, just because, oh my gosh, it's amazing what these things will do for you. The salts, the fats, and I use these you can find in your grocery store. Sometimes they'll have them on sale for like $1, and oh, whoa, like opens up a whole nother world if you like olives or pickles. These are just called snack olives, and they come with like thyme, a whole bunch of different stuff. But yeah, highly suggest it. Like a lot of people that I've hiked with, they see me open one of these and they're like, ugh, never, I'd never do olives out in the forest. And the next thing I know, we're hiking the next time, and guess what? They've got olives, or they've got the pickles. So yeah, definitely take these.
And aren't pickles juices like good for like if you get cramps?
It is.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, I remember reading that. Everybody's like, you should always carry it in case you start cramping up because it's supposed to be really good for you. I personally have you seen the salt stick tabs? They have them.
No. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love
Are
those.
they good?
Yeah, they're delicious. They have like a watermelon flavor to die for.
Oh, nice. And then I take, I don't know if anyone's on here has had these, but trail butter. Because I actually, what do you use for a water filter? I actually use the little tablet sometimes, as disgusting as that is. Some people use the Sawyer, where you can actually put it on top of your water bottle and screw it on and drink it. You can use that too. A lot of the time, if it's like filtered from a different source, like glaciated and stuff, I don't usually filter it out. But yeah, Sawyer is great because you can actually just screw it right onto your water bottle and not have to worry about it.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in on the water hydration thing, because I found that I really love Katahdins. They have like they have like all different sizes, but if you're for backpack camping, Katahdin's awesome because it's like a liter.
Oh yeah.
Hang it up and then it just like, there's a hose and you just squeeze it. It's so amazing. They have them at Aria.
Yeah. And yeah, for snacks, I use trail butter a lot of the time. This is like the maple syrup and sea salt ones. I absolutely love trail butter. And then if like, for some reason, I know like if something did happen, because there's a lot of time when I'm outside, I can't eat like whole foods, like sandwiches and stuff, especially in the wintertime. It's really hard for my system, especially for when I'm out hiking, like exerting myself a lot for like, I do a lot of like climbing and stuff like that. And I just have a really hard time. I'll bring a sandwich. I just can't eat it. Like, it's something I just cannot do. And so I found a company that I'm in love with just because I've never had any stomach issues with them, knock on wood yet. And I can actually make it the night before and take it with me, is this little guy. And it's called Rec Pack. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this company or not. But it's basically, it's in chocolate. I think coffee is one, and chai is another one. And it's basically just a complete meal. And you just mix water in it and shake it. And then you can just drink it. And it's got 700 calories. It's got a lot of fats and carbs and proteins. So it's kind of a balance meal for you. And I've learned from my past experiences I can't do whole foods a lot of the time, like sandwiches and stuff like that, when I'm out and about hiking. For some reason, it just doesn't agree with me. So I found out that company is really great, and it's lightweight. Sometimes I'll actually just bring one of these with me when I go out for the day, just because if something does happen and you need food for overnight, you're not probably going to be bringing your stove, and you're not going to be bringing all this other stuff. It's called Rec Pack, REC, and then PAK. And yeah, it's actually was made by a guy that had stomach issues, the same kind of thing happening where he couldn't eat a lot of stuff. And so I just gave it a try. I was like, well, might as well try it. And it's turned out, it's worked really well. I used one this past weekend on a multi-pitch climb, and I did wonderful on it and didn't have any issues whatsoever. But I also just keep one in my pack just in case, like I said, if something does happen, you're going to want to have something to eat overnight. And like I said, you're not going to be bringing stoves. You're not going to be bringing mountain house meals probably with you for a day hike. You're going to be just, bring something like this. It's 700 calories. It will get you through the night. Another brand it's 700 calories. Have you ever heard of those? They're like little blocks of food. These are just range meal bars, and these are like 700 calories. They've got 32 grams of fat. So you don't want to be eating these unless you're like, okay, this is going to be my meal for the day kind of thing. But if you can see like how small this is, it's really not going to take up a lot of room in your pack. But I would just keep something like this in there, because if something does happen, these are going to like get you through the night. Or actually you can share with your like friend or whatever too, and you guys are going to be able to make it through the night without getting too hangry, hopefully, on each other. But you're also going to like make it through with some calorie intake and some fats. So that's why I do keep these in my pack all the time, just because you never know. I actually have, if I did bring my stove, I sometimes will carry, yes, the little pocket rocket. It's by MSR. It is the tiniest little guy, but I do carry that with me sometimes with the little stove. But if I don't carry a stove, because most of the times I don't, when I just go on a day little hike, I'll just take one of these meals with me because it's just a lot easier. Can those meals, these actually, if you're talking about the rec pack, it's actually cold water. You can use warm water, but this is just water straight up from your Nalgene. Hopefully you don't put electrolytes in it, because that actually, I made that mistake once and it was really nasty. I forgot. But yeah, just straight up Nalgene water in this, and then just put the cap back on it and shake it. And the cap actually is reusable. So if you can't eat the whole thing, you can kind of pull it down and then just eat the rest later. So that's what makes it kind of nice. And then, like I said, more snacks. I've got like a little bag of treats. And in these treats, I've got like high chews. I bring tons of different Hershey bars and Dove bars. And the reason why I actually carry these with me is not necessarily for myself, but for other people. Some people get kind of a sugar low sometimes and they need something, and it's a morale booster, believe it or not. Like in our class for Montana Tech, I teach like it's all about kind of morale and boosting morale. And sometimes when you're out, some people just aren't doing really well, or they're just kind of bonking a little bit. And we'll stop and have a snack, and I'll look at people, I'm like, so who wants a Snickers bar? Or who wants a Heath bar? And their eyes just light up. And they're like, yes, absolutely. So that's why I bring these just little treats, is just because it actually is a really big morale booster if something does happen, or if you're just out and about and someone's just kind of having not a good day. These things will kind of cheer people up half the time, hopefully. And then I'm trying to think, oh yeah, so I bring extra gloves. I've got like, I always bring, even in the summertime, I bring extra thick gloves with me. I'm just always, like I said, 2 of everything, sometimes 3 of everything, especially gloves. I have a thin pair, got a medium pair, and then a thick pair that I always bring with me. And then a shell, I just bring a shell jacket, a rain like jacket. It doesn't need to be like, way too much. It doesn't need to be fancy, just something that'll keep you, from the elements if something does happen, or you need to kind of cover yourself up. And then I have an old one. I've got a couple, but I actually carry a huge puffy coat. It breaks down really, really tiny, just because it's really comforting. My thing is all about comfort. Like when I go out too, sometimes if I'm out on a day hike and I'm stopping for snacks, I immediately put this on, just because it helps me to stay warm, and then I'll take it off when I get hiking again. But you want to think layer systems when you go out. You want to start cold, and unfortunately I don't do that sometimes, but then you want to like build that up, and you want to have something, if something does happen, you can like protect yourself or keep whoever might be hurt or something's wrong warm. I think we have time for, oh, it's 7:30. Do we have time for the, like, if something does happen scenario?
Yeah, why not just
contacts are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a quick brief scenario. Yeah, you can do it.
Are you sure everyone that okay?
How long?
really want to go over this. Okay, so I kind of ramble. It's so hard to fit everything in one thing, but so if you guys go out for the day and you're with someone or you're by yourself, like, like I think most of you probably know, but maybe not, is definitely let someone know. But on that note, let someone you like know that is actually going to look at their phone or take action. And the reason why I say that I teach this a lot in my classes is your partners are your life. And so when I go out, I make sure that person could possibly save my life and have the right ability to, and the right stuff in their backpack. And so that's why I say, if you're going out for the day, pick someone at home that is going to look at their phone first off. They're not just going to be like some people do where they ignore everything in life. And they're going to know the area, and they're kind of going to have knowledge of what is going on. So if search and rescue does need to talk to them, they're not going to go, I don't know where they went, even though they might. So kind of think that way, and if you don't have anyone, if you're like, well, I don't really have anyone to tell, everyone, like, just put something in your house. Search and rescue will actually come to your house to look for stuff. We don't suggest ever to put anything in your car, just because there are kind of people out there that can like take advantage of that situation if you put something on your car. And because there was a thing where people were saying, well, what if I put a note on my window when I left them? Like, oh yeah, don't put a note on your window for trailhead of like where you're at, because that could go really wrong really fast. But just put it somewhere in your house, or it's somewhere that someone might be able to find that kind of thing. The next thing is like, look at the weather. I'm always talking about weather and stuff and having the Kestrel, but that is the most important thing, is check the weather before you go out. Check to see what's going on for the day. Don't just check it the day of, because if you go out there, a lot of the time people will just check it for that day. I always check it for the night before, the day of, and the day after. And the reason why is if something goes wrong, you need to know what is going on that next day. And sometimes stuff can change dramatically, like, or like weather patterns in Montana are like all over the map, but at least you'll have kind of a basis. If something happens, you're like, okay, today's sunny, but it looks like weather's coming in tomorrow. A lot of people kind of just get that tunnel vision, and then they don't look past that when they go out for a day hike. So always think the what if case, like scenario, is how I always think things when I'm going out for that day. And then like with weather, so say you told someone you're going out, you got that all in place, you looked at the weather, it looks great, maybe the next day looks beautiful as well. You're going out with a friend, find out what your friend has in their pack. The people that I go out with, I'm always asking, what do you have in your pack before we even leave their house? And mainly it's just because of that reason, is because whatever they have in your pack, it might help you, and you might actually need to use what's in their pack. So always ask your partner, like, what do you have in your pack today? Do you have the right stuff? Do you have a headlamp? Ask them if they have a first aid kit, because you are going to need to know those things for if something does happen later on. So you've got that, you've got the weather, you know where your friends are, your pack, you make the plan. So the plan is you're going to go to like some mountain. You want to go check out some cabin below some mountain. And you looked on the map, you found the right direction, everything. You, in your dorm, put it in your waypoint, which you can do. You can put waypoints in there and learn how to do that. You can look on a map and learn how to do that. But when you're out like at the trailhead and you're like hiking in, is be aware, be really aware of your surroundings. We teach this a lot in our backcountry prep class. My biggest thing is, a lot of the time you're hiking, what do you do if someone's in front of you, your face is down, and you just kind of look at the trail and you just zoom along? And I've had it where I've been teaching people outdoors and I've said, okay, let's go back. You go take us back. And they have no idea how to get us back to the like actual car. And it's because they weren't looking up and looking around and seeing what's around them the whole time. So if you are in a group of people, just kind of think that way, of just look up and be aware of your surroundings the whole time. You can look down, of course, but that's what I always say is like, just be really cautious of your surroundings and be aware of them. And it's also going to help you if something does happen. If like, do you have a whistle? I do have bear spray. Yep. I take bear spray with me. But if something does happen, the where part comes in, is you can say, I think I saw a rock outcropping back there that we can go make a shelter under. Or you can be like, I think there was water that was just a little bit further back. I also, what I like to do, and this is just me, and you guys can kind of take this if you want to, is I actually every while, sometimes I'll take out my phone and people are like, oh, what are you taking your phone out? You're in the woods. The reason why is I'm checking for signal. And I like to know where my signal is, just in case something does happen. And I'll actually just pinpoint that and I'll put it like in the back of my brain and be like, okay, I don't have signal here, but I just had it down there a few like 100 yards. So that's what I like to do with that. But if you're out and about and something does happen, like say your friend trips or falls or has a medical emergency, there's all sorts of things that can happen out there. You guys are having fun, things are going great. And the next thing you know, something unfortunately happens to you or your friend, or you get lost, which is a kind of a different scenario if you get lost because there's a little bit like implement problem there. But if you like are out there and something does happen, the first thing you want to do is first off, I always tell people is just breathe and just take a moment. The first thing like happens is humans, we kind of escalate things in our head and we kind of start to panic a little bit. We start blaming each other. And so just kind of breathe, take things down to just like a little lower level. And then I just always tell people after you get done breathing and just calming down for just a couple seconds, then just look at your situation and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. And this is what, if you're like lost, think about it first before you call search and rescue. And a lot of people are like, well, what? I'm lost. Sometimes it just takes breathing for a second and being like, oh, we just need to look at the map and we're going to be okay. Because there's a point where it's like, do you want to call search and rescue? Like if someone's really hurt, of course you would. But if you're like lost, but you have all the right tools in your toolbox, which is your backpack, you might be able to get through the night. And maybe all you have to do is just stay out, make a shelter, get a fire going, and just see it out through the night with a snack, and then get up in the morning and reassess your problem. Because sometimes people have actually done that where they're like, okay, I'm lost. They just took a breath. They sat down for a minute. They're like, well, we're going to be here for the night. And they made shelter. They made a fire. They, were like, okay, let's just see through the night if we're going to be okay. They got up the next day, reassessed it and went, oh man, okay. It's just because sometimes you get a little like your brain gets a little fuzzy when you're out and doing stuff and you get kind of panicked. You just have to take that moment. But if something is wrong and maybe like a friend is hurt, when you pull the search and rescue, like on your DeLorme, what's going to happen is you have to like I always say, when you do go out for that day hike, always plan on an overnight, no matter where you're at. And the reason why I like to like kind of say that over and over with people is because search and rescue, like, I don't know about where your search and rescue is, but a lot of them are volunteer and they're not going to get there sometimes it might take them the next day to get there. And so that's why I say, if something goes wrong, have the right tools in your cabinet to get you through the night. Even if you are going out for the day, because like when I was on search and rescue, if you called us, what happens with Garmin, if you guys don't know this, if you've got that SOS on your Garmin, that DeLorme, that InReach, what happens is InReach actually will contact you first just to see if you accidentally hit it. And if you don't actually say back to them, oops, sorry, I made a mistake, that switched on, they will actually go into place and start contacting the right people. But what happens first is like InReach will contact your family. They'll contact dispatch, which contacts the police department. The police department actually makes the decision, yes or no, we need search and rescue. Sometimes they'll be like, we're just going to not do it. We've had that happen here at search and rescue where they did not let us know until later because they didn't really know if they should be calling us or not. And so we didn't get sent out till late in the day, which typically happens. We won't get sent out till dark. So just, think that way. It's like this kind of piece. So that's why plan on the overnight trip, because search and rescue being volunteers a lot of the time won't be able to get into you sometimes for 8, 9, 10 hours. So you have to have those right things in your backpack to be able to get you through it and to know that you're going to get through it, and just keep breathing and giving yourself tasks as well. We always talk about in our classes of giving everyone a task. If you're with someone, maybe someone has the task of building fire. Maybe someone has the task of building a shelter. And then you have the task of seeing to the medical and maybe the water and building that morale with the snacks of Hershey bars and Heath bars and stuff like that. But if you guys all work together as a team when you go out, it's going to make you guys feel so much better and so much more confident on your day hikes, and just getting out there and getting into nature. If you kind of combine all the stuff I was talking about tonight that I put in my backpack, it's gonna I'm hoping it'll make you guys feel a lot more confident to go outside with your friends and be like, okay, we've got this. We're going to be able to go out. We're going to maybe if we did have something happen, we have the right tools and we're going to get through this just fine. And so I'm hoping that you guys, learned some stuff tonight. I know I could go on forever about a lot of stuff, but
so you
I think you're
yeah, I was like, I'm just muted again. You did amazing. And I actually just wanted to wrap up by saying, I personally have had a couple different situations where I've had to use my emergency knowledge and tools. And one of them happened to be like, we were not even a mile into the trail. So I think to your point, like when you're going into the backcountry or whether you're going on a short, small hike, even if you think you don't need anything, like you definitely want to carry is more stuff than you ever think you could possibly need, probably.
Yeah, well, and it's easy. It's easy to just carry like lightweight pack, but it's always like, I always tell myself, like, what would I really need to get through the night? And for me, it's fire and food. Shelter, I can pretty much make out of anything. If I needed to, I can dig out and make a shelter. But for me, it's food. I'm a big food person. I like being happy with my food. And then fire is a big one. It's a big morale boost. It keeps you warm. But those are the main things. And if you stick to those main things and keep it down and look at your pack, you can like I was saying, things don't have to be expensive and they don't have to weigh a ton. You don't have to have this massive pack every time you go out. You can kind of like make a little first aid kit and stuff for yourself, and it will all work out like just fine. But yeah,
Snacks are life.
I know.
Seriously love it. So
it totally is.
Oh, I love that though. I loved that when you're like, just like the chocolate bars make people happy. I'd be so happy. I'd be like, hell yeah, you got
it's
girl. I'm gonna sit next to you.
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it's like, I'll bring out the little, and what's okay. So this is really cool is, I always go to Walmart the day after like all the like holidays, because they're 50% off everything. And they usually have the bags like 50% off, but now people are starting to catch on to that. But I'll just go out and buy those little mini size like after Halloween, because everything's on sale, and it's just great because they're little bite size, so you don't have to like worry about it. And yeah, it's such a morale booster for people to see that stuff.
I love that. So cool. Well, if anybody has, everybody's saying thank you. So I'm assuming that there aren't any last minute questions, but if anybody does have them, you're welcome to throw them in the chat. I think what we'll do quick is we can do the giveaway. So I'm going to pop into the gallery mode for that.
I teach the avalanche classes in Montana, up by Anaconda, Montana. I do not carry a pistol.
Okay, cool. So, Hallie, do you want to pick a number? We had 1 through 58 ladies left. So do you want to pick a number for me? And then I will pick somebody.
Okay. Between 1 and 58?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go 36.
Okay. Oh boy. What do I get down here again? There it is. Oh boy. Janean, Janean. You are the winner. I'm gonna send you a message. And what I'll need from you won our Salomon boots for this evening, which
awesome.
I think they have a couple different pairs that you can choose from. So I'll send you a couple links and then we'll just get your shoe size and your address and everything. So you can email me at info@womenwhoexplore.com. I'm going to send you a private message in the chat right now. But congratulations. And then I just want to say thanks to everybody who took time out this evening to sit with us. Thank you for supporting the community, supporting Hallie. Thank you to
Thank you
Salomon.
guys.
Yeah, huge shout out to Salomon for putting on this class and sharing, yeah, your info, Hallie. It was awesome.
I know it's so hard to fit something in 1 hour. I'm like, "Ugh."
Well, I think we're hoping to host some more of these classes so everybody can keep an eye out for more stuff like this to keep coming.
Yeah.
Your way. So yeah. But awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Pleasure. Have a good evening. I'm gonna stop.
Thank you, Hallie. Thanks, Lindsay. This was great.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah,
That's Jen,
thank you.
everybody. Jen from
Thank you.
Salomon. She helped us organize this class and put it on. And so big shout out to them again. Like I said, they help us get people like Hallie to come and share their knowledge with us so that we can all learn a little bit more and be safer on the trails. So more to
Everybody.
come this year with
More to
Salomon
come.
and Hallie. So
Lots more to come.
yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Night, everybody.